chiffon or it's
No,
also silk?
these here, the small ones are silk. My name is Bruce Samia. I'm an artist, and I've created a line of silk scarves to get my designs out there. All of the scarves, all of the designs on all of my scarves are created using my own photography. Every scarf is produced in units of 35, and then the design is retired. On every scarf, I use my signature as a design element somewhere on the scarf.
You have the Arabic writing. Is that from your heritage?
Yeah, my heritage is Lebanese.
How many different images came into this?
It's actually just cut in 4. So you have the basic image, you have old Arabic writing, you have my scribble writing. All of these flowers were photographed from a Chinese manuscript at the Getty. These flowers were photographed at the LA Arboretum.
By you?
By myself, yes. Because I only use all of my own design. The duckbill was photographed down in a zoo in Laguna. And the flowers in the middle were from also the LA Arboretum. This is a double printed scarf. So it's the same design on both sides with 2 different colors. This is a heavyweight silk twill, and it needs to be so they can do a double printing on it. These are a lightweight silk cotton bandana, 26 inches square, hand-rolled hems, again my signature used as a design element. And all of these photographs were taken at my friend's garden north of Seattle up in the mountains. This has probably 5 different plants, these flowers, my signature, and the border leaf. This is another one from his garden.
Beautiful. Look at this. Beautiful.
And this
Wow.
these are the negative images of those same flowers, done just as an outline. Well, my inspiration for all of my work comes from Arabic culture and Japanese culture. Arabic culture because of the beauty and simplicity of all of that. Japanese because of the color combinations. As you can see, I love color combinations. And that would be a very Japanese thing. The thing with Japanese color combinations is they're bright but subtle, and they have very unusual combinations together. Like Persian color palette would be maybe the same colors, but they would be deep. Japanese, if you think of kimonos and the way different patterns interact with one another on a kimono, that's the basis for all of this work. So that patterns play against one another.
How vast is your library of photographs that are
Enormous.
that haven't been utilized in any of your?
Enormous. For instance, when I photographed the flowers from the Pacific Northwest, I have probably about 1,200 flower photographs just from that one trip, and I've used probably maybe a dozen of them. I'm just constantly taking pictures of everything. I mean, I took a picture of barbed wire and it ended up on a scarf. And I laid the barbed wire down first and then just start building graphic shapes around it.
So the red image, what was that originally?
If you look, you can see it was a branch of a flower, and I just colored it to these colors.
How many different times did you play with the color pattern on this before you knew this is the one that I wanted?
This one was a lot because it was my first kind of experiment into something a little bit more graphic and less floral. The majority of my work is floral. So when I started to do the graphics, it took a lot to try and figure out color combinations because all of these colors were laid down individually. I knew I wanted a black background, and I knew I wanted the image of the barbed wire fence. and then I just started playing around. So something like this takes a while because every night I keep going back to it
Wow.
and changing it and double checking it, etc., etc. And a lot of this is experimental. For instance, I designed this shape and it was a solid color, and I started playing around. It's all done in Photoshop. I started playing around in Photoshop and just started playing with the gradient factors and realized how pretty the gradients look as opposed to a solid color. Because I don't really know where I'm going with any of this stuff. Like I said, it all happens, it starts out as a very simple idea, generally with a color, and then it all happens very organically as I go along. But for instance, like this was a long time to create because all these images were taken individually. And then I had to create the background of all of these. Then the flowers were laid on top of it, etc., etc. And then when you're doing the doubles, when it's the same design, you really have to take into consideration how they're going to play off each other. I mean, this would
wow.
be...
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a major consideration, is how is this going to play off each other? I could have gone with this. This, I actually tried in this color, green blue. And it looked okay, but it just didn't have, it wasn't rich enough looking for me. This looks more of like Persian colors, Arabic type colors, old world.
Beautiful.
But it's the same with all of them. It's how are all these going to play on each other? You know, like this plays, when I finally decided that this played really well together, I had to come up with borders. This, I knew I wanted a dark gray border, a blue-gray border. This was a lot of trouble, what I wanted to play it off of, and I settled on that because this blue-gray plays in with this, and this dirty green plays in with this. And together, somehow, they work.
Definitely. No, you don't miss a beat on the designs. It's almost like a perfect Picasso, or you know what I mean, or sculpture.
It is. It's basically I'm creating art.
Yeah.
It
is art. You're not creating; it is art.
I happened to print it on fabric because it was a viable way to get my designs out there. For instance, these could be turned into wallpapers.
Mm-hmm.
This is a beautiful.
Oh yeah.
This would make a gorgeous wallpaper. Without the border, just the centerpiece. It's a beautiful wallpaper.
Where do you get inspired from?
I just get inspired from, I think, my own work. Just sitting down, going through photographs. I start with a very base idea, generally with a color, a solid color, and then I just start playing around. All the designs really happen very organically.
So what's the inspiration?
The inspiration for this scarf was Jackson Pollock. It is just a collection of flowers, completely just laid down and then kind of destroyed, really. But I wanted it to be, I call it Pollock.
Beautiful. And what's the image in the middle?
The image in the middle is from the Glendale Cemetery where Michael Jackson is buried. There's a statue up on the top of the mountain, and it's this lady here.
Is this a tribute to Michael Jackson?
No. It's just, no.
What made you get into this? Has this always been your forte, or?
No, I am an artist, and I do digital collage work, such as these cards. And one night, I was playing around, and I just took sections of it, and I started to do repeat patterns. And I realized they could be done as fabric, wallpaper. I've had these printed on ceramic tiles, and I couldn't figure out how to get all of this out there, and a friend suggested silk scarves. It took me 2 years of research to find manufacturers, to find everything. Originally, I wanted to leave my business in this country. I had about a dozen samples made from businesses here in this country. The work was not good. A friend suggested I find some manufacturers in China because who invented silk? The Chinese. So it took about a year and a half to find manufacturers that I liked, produced what I wanted, and this is the end result.
Beautiful. Yeah, because I don't see this good of quality most places. You know what I mean? You're not going to
No,
get
and
this.
especially at these prices. A standard scarf is 38 inches square. I do them 42 inches square so that you have a little extra material. It could be used as a wrap. Girl could use it as a top. It's used as a scarf. It could be wrapped around the head. And they can be folded up into something very small and just decorative.
And has anyone ever asked for you to do them a custom job?
I could do custom jobs, but it needs to be a minimum of either 35 or 50. Companies don't do just a one-off.
And if you don't mind me asking, what's your top seller out of these designs?
The bandanas.
Which one?
Actually, there isn't just one. It's just the bandana in general. It is a beautiful piece of fabric. It's extremely fairly priced. On my online store, I charge $35. At the fairs, I charge $25. And there's only 35 of each made. So it's hard to say which one is the best seller because once they're sold out, the design is retired.
Wait up. So you only print 35 of these?
35 of these, 35 of these, 12 of those. And out of the 35, I keep 2. One is a sample, one for myself.
Wow.
So when somebody buys this, it's one of 33 that they're buying. Then the design is retired. I originally thought of once the design is retired, using the same design but changing the color background, etc. I decided I want every item to be completely unique. A one of a kind, one of 35, and that's it.
How long does a design take you to do on a scarf?
It depends.
Typically.
Something like this scarf took a long time because this curve you see is a single magnolia flower that was colored to be these colors, and then I had to lay all of them down to create the curve. So that's a very time-consuming thing. And I had to do them in 2 so that I had a longer one and a shorter one. I did not have this design in mind when I did that. I just wanted to make a curve of the flowers. I made 2 curves, and then I just started playing around. So it could take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. Doesn't necessarily mean that I work on the same design every single night. Most of it is in the prep of changing the color of a flower. I was always an artist. I went to art school, could never make a living, inadvertently ended up as a hairdresser and spent about 20 years in the salon industry, came to LA, got into the movie and film business, and in between gigs, I would do my art. Now I'm doing this full time and I've left that behind. I'm on a whole new phase of my life. I love to create. I love to get my designs out there. I love people's reactions to all of this work. I'll be honest, when I started out, I didn't expect to get any reaction. I didn't know what to expect. And the more that people see these and use them, the more response I get, and that just kind of feeds me.
And have you ever had a celebrity purchase any of your stuff?
I have, because I'm in the business. So a lot of what started the sale of all these scarves were these small bandanas, and mostly They were sold to hair and makeup people who wanted to buy wrap gifts for people in their department. That led to a couple of actors starting to buy them as gifts. And everything started with these small bandanas, the 26-inch square. And a standard bandana is between 21 and 23 inches, and I do them 26 inches, again, so that you have more fabric.
So these are your babies. This is the inception.
These are the babies.
Inception of it all.
This is, yes, the bandana started the entire.
And what hurdles have you encountered in this business, if any?
Lots of hurdles. Lots of hurdles. Trying to get this work out there. That's why I do these art fairs. To get my babies out there to the public so that people can see them, buy them, wear them. I love, more than anything, pay it forward. I love somebody buying a scarf and giving it to somebody else. As somebody buys a scarf for themselves, that's a personal thing. But if they turn around and gift it to someone else, it becomes a whole nother life.
Beautiful. Beautiful work.
Thank you very much.